going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here to talk to you about Cage, a 4-issue miniseries by Gendy Tartakovsky, as well as Stephen DeStefano, Bill Ray, and Scott Willis. This is, if you are not familiar with the name Gendy Tartakovsky, he was the showrunner of the series Samurai Jack, a cartoon that I really liked from my youth, as well as the early 2000s Clone Wars series. Not the 3D animated Clone Wars series with Ahsoka, not that series, an earlier Clone Wars series. He is the guy who did those things, and when I saw this, I had never heard of this before, but I was instantly very interested in seeing what is this going to be like. And I should have known, it is pretty much exactly what I would have thought that it would be. Gendy Tartakovsky has a very interesting style, but he is the picture definition of all style, no substance. My biggest complaint about Samurai Jack, as well as the Clone Wars series, is there's a whole lot of really interesting fight scenes and very little story, and that is what is going on with this Cage series. Like I said, all style, no substance. Now, it is a very interesting style. Visually, I love Samurai Jack. I love that Clone Wars series. I like the angular look that Tartakovsky is doing here. It kind of reminds me of some of the DCAU characters. You'll have someone like Batman the Animated Series, where Bruce has a jaw that is so sharp it could cut vegetables, and you have that going on with Tartakovsky's characters, where someone will be making a fist and it will just be like an octagon. Like, it is not a normal looking human fist. It doesn't look real, but it still looks really interesting, and I love that. I love the visuals of Tartakovsky's work, but if you come into this expecting some kind of story, you are probably going to be disappointed. In issue 1, basically Luke Cage gets kidnapped by these guys who we find out a little later are animal people. That's the plot of issue 1. Issue 2, he's running from these guys, and then he spends like 6 pages tripping because he got exposed to the pollen of this flower that is a hallucinogen. 6 or 7 pages of him tripping. It looks really cool if you like that, you know, those posters from the 60s that you put on your wall and you have a black light and it looks weird and trippy. It's like that for 6 or 7 pages. No story, it's just him tripping for that long. And then finally, we find out there's this animal guy who has kidnapped some of the heroes of New York City, like Iron Fist, Misty Knight, Dazzler, Ghost Rider. He has kidnapped these guys because he wants them to fight his animal people, and whoever wins will get a prize. And so then Luke Cage watches these other guys lose in their fights, and then he has to beat up these animal people so that he can survive and not be killed. And that's the plot of the miniseries. I enjoyed it. I really love the artwork here, but if you are wanting a little bit more story than what you tend to get with Tartakovsky, you might want to steer clear of this. And really, I should have known when I was getting into this, but even if I thought about it for a second and I thought about, okay, there wasn't just a whole lot of story in his Clone Wars series, there wasn't a whole lot of story in Samurai Jack, even if I had thought about that for a little bit, I probably still would have gotten this, just because that's how much I love his artwork. I could just look at pages with no dialogue of his art all day. Now, I don't know if I would pay money for that. You can go to Google and look up Gendy Tartakovsky's artwork, but I don't really think that some people are going to be disappointed with this, I think. Personally, I really liked it, and also the very first issue of Hero for Hire, the series that introduced Luke Cage in the 70s, it is collected here, and it got me interested in reading more Luke Cage. I actually have volume 1 up there of Luke Cage, Essential Luke Cage, and so after reading this volume, I'm very interested in digging into some of that 1970s Luke Cage stuff. So I'm really glad that it kind of piqued my interest with that. Before this, I had not read any Luke Cage solo stuff. I had seen the Netflix shows, and that was about it. But overall, I did like this, but just be wary that if you like to have some kind of story in a 4-issue miniseries, this does not have that. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Cage. I hope that you guys liked this review, and if you did, I will see you guys in the future with some other kind of video. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day.